Robert Livingston, safeties coach for the Cincinnati Bengals, joins us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from our studios as we always do. Robert Livingston is a young rising star in the coaching profession. He does a great job for the Cincinnati Bengals on the back end, coaching those safeties. Safeties are critical. They have to read, recognize, communicate. They're the quarterbacks of the back end in a lot of ways, quarterbacks of the defensive football team. And Robert Livingston gets those guys all on the same page. He does a tremendous job coaching his players. His players respect what he has to say, how he says it. And the Cincinnati Bengals are fortunate to have a coach like him in the back end and players that they've drafted for him to coach on the back end as well. You're going to like what Robert Livingston has to say about his players and his defense. Thanks for joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And we've got a good one for you today. This is going to be awesome. Robert Livingston.
What's up, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
No, you're the man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you carving time. Works with those safeties. Does a heck of a job for the Cincinnati Bengals. Been with the organization for a while, and has made major contributions from a personnel standpoint, coaching standpoint, every standpoint you can think of in terms of football. So this man knows this organization and what it's all about. So we got the back end. You lose a couple of safeties that I know it was probably a tough pill to swallow, losing a couple of leaders like you did lose. But you guys have just done a great job bringing in other guys, veteran free agent, drafting a guy and developing that young rookie. Talk about what's going on for you at that safety position, sir.
Yeah, it's it looks a lot different, as you mentioned. You lose two guys like Jesse and Vaughn, and graduation happens. It always sucks. So you kind of say goodbye, and then you go to the next class. And
right.
Zach and Duke did a great job getting Nick in here in the veteran free agency part, and then obviously, having Dax last year and the multiple spots that he played, as you have done in your career, Lap, as a young player, having to kind of back up all 5 spots, I think is priceless. For him, for kind of knowing where he fits in the defense and what everybody else is doing. And then just the other pieces that we've added, whether it's, Jordan or having Tycen, and obviously Mike Thomas coming back for another year is great, and it helps the stability and the leadership in the room. So just excited about the group and excited to kind of keep working and trying to get better every day.
Boy, in the football game against the Green Bay Packers, Dax Hill showed some range, man. I mean, he broke from the middle of the field to break up a pass up the sideline. That was pretty extraordinary. I mean, he can cover ground. He can close, can he?
Yeah, he's obviously immensely gifted, when it comes to tracking the ball and playing in the middle of the field. And again, playing corner last year, I think helps him, kind of know where that ball is going to be delivered. And I mean, that's just God-given ability. Let's call it like it is. I didn't have much to do with that one, getting them, outside the numbers. And again, he's a rare athlete, and it's our job. It's my job, candidly, to develop him into having the tools that he can play the position, down in and down out. So yeah, great play. That'll be, hard to beat in terms of, playing it any better. So just excited to kind of put a couple more of those together.
No question about it. And about Tycen Anderson, man, you get 2 interceptions and a half. I don't care what level of football you're playing.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're playing touch football in the backyard, man. You get two interceptions in the first half, and you take one back for a pick six. That's a heck of a day.
That is a heck of a quarter. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just so happy for him. Having missed a whole year as he did, that obviously can play some head games on you. Speaking from experience, obviously not at this level, but missed a year in college, and next thing you know, everybody's out to get you, and the world's against you, and the sky is falling, and everything that I think everybody's been through. So for him to kind of brace that last year and come back in his first game back and have that performance, it just starts with being super excited for him. And it'll be tough to beat in terms of his career doing that again. So just excited for him and his family.
let me give you guys in some corners as well, just guys in the back end, and
Yeah.
I'll give you a name and give me your take. Give me a as only Robert Livingston can do a scouting report and a coaching analysis of these particular players. So let's work through the back end. How about first? You mentioned a guy that has been around for a long time. He's a great locker room leader, Michael Thomas. Talk about what he's about.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Mike Thomas. He's a phenomenal leader. He is a phenomenal person. He is what you want on your team, both in the locker room and on the grass. Mike could do anything in the world he wanted to. There's no doubt in my mind. He could be a president of some Fortune 500 company. He could be in Congress. He could be in politics. He could do whatever he wants, and he's choosing to be with us, which I'm forever grateful for. Mike has meant more to my life than I'll ever mean to him. So I am forever indebted to him, and just think the world of Mike.
Man, that's pretty high praise. I mean, that's I haven't heard coaches talk about players like that. Now that's pretty incredible. All right, let's stay with the safeties. Let's get through the spaces. Then I'll throw a couple of others at you as well. But how about Nick Scott, the veteran you picked up from the Rams?
Nick's obviously come into a new system and picked it up pretty flawlessly. He's obviously a veteran player going into year 5, so that helps. That helps a lot. With that being said, some scheme things are different from LA to here. So as you have changed playbooks at one point in your life, Lap, kind of putting things in buckets, and this is what it used to mean for me, or this is how I used to play that, and it's been great that Nick was here all spring to kind of have those conversations and go through, this is what we call things, and this is where he fits. So super excited for Nick. Obviously brings a leadership factor that candidly we're young back there. So for Nick to bring that leadership helps a lot. And, just excited to get him on the grass and get him playing. And, I know Lou's talked about it. Those two safety spots, they're kind of like a shortstop and a second baseman in Lou's words, which is a great analogy, kind of playing off each other and knowing where the other guy's going to be and where you fit in that thing. So, time on task has been a big issue for us this camp. You want guys to work together and play together and candidly make a mistake or two on the practice field so they can grow from it. So excited for where Nick is and where he can be.
Yeah, that's the interesting transition is you understand the concepts, but you have to unlearn a language and learn another one. I mean, everybody's speaking French and German, it's like, what's the story? What are we talking about here? But that is that's something that will take just a little bit of time with a guy. That thing back there, through the whole football team and on the back end, back where you're working, the intelligence and the football intelligence, man, this football team, two things about it. This team is fast. I mean, the speed, you can feel the speed and you can feel the intelligence, the smarts, the football IQ. You can feel those things with these guys.
Yeah, I think, again, it starts from top down there. It starts with Zach and Duke and Lou, obviously, kind of having a blueprint for what they want it to look like, what they want it to sound like. The speed is great, but not budging on kind of the non-negotiables, for the football intelligence, for the love of the game, for the leadership factors, taking somebody that has that things instead of taking somebody that you're not quite sure. And that takes phenomenal leadership from those three. So, lucky to see that from kind of the outside looking in, lucky to be a small part of that. And it makes coming to work that much easier when guys are all about it and they'll do anything in the world to get better. You don't want this more than they want it, which is big, as you've lived.
What about Tycen Anderson? Obviously had that great first preseason game last year. Unfortunately, had the injury bugaboo. But what do you think about Tycen?
Yeah, I think immensely talented. Obviously, they don't really come around that often with 33-inch arms, and I think he ran 4.3 or something at the combine. So God gave him a lot of ability, and it's my job again, candidly, to kind of get them going consistently. I think as any young player, Lap, you've lived it, you've seen it. You got those flash plays where you're really, really good, and then the next play, it's like, hey, who's that guy?
Yep.
So it's hard. This is a hard game, especially for young players. They want to be great. They want to strive to do great things. And next thing you know, you press a little bit, or you take your eyes not from one thing where they're supposed to be to looking at something else. And so consistency is always hard, and it's always something that we look for. in young players to kind of, break that glass ceiling to get on the field. So Tycen, like most players, just want to see him be more consistent, but he's got phenomenal ability, and again, super excited for his first game, and now let's stack some games on top of each other. Let's stack some quarters on top of each other. Let's stack a half on top of a half, and really get to where we want to get to.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, as a player, for your teammates and for the coaches, I mean, you don't want your performance to be like this. The highs and lows. You want a little, maybe blips here and there, but man, you don't want those big highs and big lows, man. It's like you said, man, this guy, he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
This guy, how do you make the team? The very next play, it's crazy. You can't be having those mountains and those valleys. That's for sure.
No doubt.
Yep. So then, you got a talented player, Jordan Battle.
Yeah.
And he was battling a hamstring problem, but talk about Jordan Battle.
Yeah, Jordan came in, did a nice job this spring, and unfortunately got hurt during training camp. So, as a young player, when you're a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, behind, that's tough. That's really tough. So, candidly, the first preseason game, you kind of knew what to expect. Again, you've got a guy who's trying to get his legs back, and the speed of the game is probably going to be a little bit much. So I know there's more meat on that bone. I know he can play better. Again, you did see some flash plays in the first preseason game, big hit there on their sideline, and did some nice things. A guy who's coming from a huge program that knows how to work and knows how to do that stuff. But again, as a young player, so the speed of the game can jump on you a little bit. And I think a lot of those guys, that they have to relearn, how to be themselves, right? How to study, how to have success. I think the guys that go from college to the pros that maybe struggle a little bit in the pros, the great ones, they can push through and they can kind of define their new normal of, okay, hey, I used to just get by doing this. That ain't good enough now. Now I got to circumvent my learning, my teaching, whatever it may be, to get the best out of myself. So excited for Jordan, to have another week in the building, and obviously playing in Atlanta. That'll mean something to him. Probably a couple SEC championship games there, if I had to guess,
right,
in his career. So there's going to be some good mojo for him. And so it'll be exciting this week to see him play.
Safeties working in concert with corners. That's what it's all about in that secondary. Talk about these two young cornerbacks that you guys drafted, the two DJs, and we're not talking spinning records. We're talking about people and covering people. DJ Turner, DJ Ivey. I mean, these guys have made an impression. DJ Turner, man, that guy, it looks like he could start for a lot of teams in the National Football League.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's I was talking to Chuck, Coach Burks here after the game, and I don't know if I've ever seen preseason or regular season, whatever you want to call it, an NFL game where on two pass plays, a corner has tackles for a TFL, right? So the boot there in the low red zone obviously was maybe a little bit behind him, the throw or whatever, but that was a -2 play.
Yep.
And then the little check down before the half was a -2 play as well. So he's done a great job. He's a great kid. Super excited for him and his development. Again, each day getting better each week, kind of seeing the game. Coach Burks does a phenomenal job with those guys. And again, I think he's had a great start so far. So again, let's keep pushing them and see what we got. And then, DJ Ivey is a guy we brought around for a non-combine visit. And from the moment you kind of meet him, you look him in his eyes and you can kind of see he's about business. And he's done a good job, again, being a young player, as we talked about, Lap, as you have lived. There are great days and then there are bad days. And I think finding, that consistency where your hand doesn't shake is what everybody wants, right? Again, just live in the middle. And I think that's really hard for young players to do sometimes. But he's done a great job as well. Again, he had a stretch there. I guess the fan day, he had 2 interceptions. I'm trying to think back. It seems like a year ago all of a sudden. But, yeah, they've both done a great job. Again, I can't stress to you how great a job Coach Burks does with those guys to get them ready to play. And the preseason is huge for those guys. So hopefully continue to see development.
And a guy that, seems like he's been around here for a while, but it's only his second year in the NFL, Cam Taylor-Britt, and he's making a jump from year 2. I mean, he's a player, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure, you've seen a million of them. a year ago today, Cam is probably trying to figure out, okay, this is where I park in my apartment. This is where I shop. This is,
Right.
the new city, all that kind of stuff. Um, and never forget, I mean, this is a people business, right? So the better relationships you have with people, the better you feel about people, is the easier it is to come to work and be a player and want to go out there and lay it on the line. And oh, by the way, same defense, same system, same position coach. Um, Room looks a little bit different, but some of the same guys in the room. So you're just that much more comfortable to go out and put your best foot forward. So Cam's done a great job. Year one to year two, as you know, is usually where the biggest strides come.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see what he's done in the offseason to put him in position to not only help himself, but this defense and this team collectively.
So, Coach, first preseason game, there's always the issue of, okay, run fits. Am I hitting the gap control integrity the way I'm supposed to? And then guys are like, all right, I want to make a play. So, instead of just harvesting their crop, they're trying to harvest their partner's crop a little bit and maybe getting a little nosy and getting away from responsibilities. Were they pretty good in that regard, or was it a problem?
Yeah, I think there's some really, really good clips, excuse me, and then there's some plays that you're exactly right. I think you get late in the game and you haven't made a play, and by God, it's my time to do something. So
Right.
there's a little bit of that that we gotta squash. But for the most part, it was a good effort. Again, I think the guys, we had obviously 2 interceptions, a couple PBUs, turnover on downs. So there's some real things to grow from. First preseason game it's never super pretty on either side of the ball. There's some free runners that the offensive line gives up. There's some open guys in the secondary that you got to work through, and really, it's just there's so much energy and kind of people in their own head that first game that you just want to get it out of the way, and then you can grow from there, and that's always kind of your floor. So again, some really good things, some things that we got to work on, but overall pleased with the effort.
In the preseason game, sometimes it's hard to control where you're going to get situational football covered,
Sure.
all aspects of it. That's why you work against each other like you did on Wednesday, a couple of days before the game, to make sure that you get good reps in the situational aspect of it. You did have some red zone, you did have some low red zone, had some goal line, there was some short yardage. I can't really remember if there wasn't 2 minutes at the end of the game. At the end of the first half, I remember Bengals trying to execute a 4-minute, and then you guys had to defend like a minute and a half. There were some situational things. Overall, how pleased were you guys in that area?
Yeah, you think so. Into the first half, obviously, we get off the field, we go back out there, we get an interception, so that there's some good things to work with, and then they get the ball back. I think with like 43 seconds, we give up an explosive play, and you just can't have it, right? So there's some really good things to talk about. Both as a secondary, as a defense. This is at the end of the first half. We were in a position, obviously, that we got the ball to start the second half, right? So if we can get a stop and our offense goes down and scores, and then they get it again, all of a sudden you got that kind of 14-point swing, which can be crucial. So those are always good things to talk through. I think Zach and Lou do a great job, talking about situations and, the importance of those situations. Again, if it's 3rd and 7 at the end of the first half and you can get off the field and you can give your offense a chance to go score, oh, by the way, they get the ball coming out to start the second half, it can be a completely different game. So those are great things to talk about. It puts guys in the moment. It's always easier to live it than it is to watch it, in a meeting room. As you have lived, those meetings can get a little long. Watching the 1997 end of game Bengals, things like that you put up. So
Right.
those are great things to learn from, and we will learn and take some things from there.
This week's opponent in the preseason, the Atlanta Falcons, I guess similar to the Packers in that they've got young quarterback. They like to run the football. I mean, Atlanta actually ran the ball for a yard more than they threw it. They ran it for like 178 in a point whatever and threw it for 177 point whatever. I mean, it was pretty balanced on the offensive side of it. So both of these football teams believe in running the football. Is that going to be a good test again?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. Obviously, that day versus Green Bay, where we practice versus them, we see some different things that maybe our offense doesn't do, which is great.
Right.
Again, you're talking about a new defense with guys making checks and having to see it the same set of eyes. So that was good. And Atlanta will be the same thing. Obviously, their head coach can't say enough great things about what he does from an offensive perspective. You mentioned the run game. They are always a bear to worry about, shifts and motions. And when you think back to when he was at Tennessee, it was really the same thing. I mean, that's kind of where obviously Derrick Henry got his name and the things that they were doing there. So can't say enough about the head coach, and it'll be a full day for those guys. They're a big physical team. Obviously, we played them last year. Some of the pieces are different. New quarterback, obviously, Desmond Ritter, and having the backups that they have. It'll be a real challenge for our guys, which is great. They do have talented players on the perimeter. First round pick and a receiver. First round pick, obviously, in the Avatar tight end, who's probably one of one and what he can do. And then they add the running back from Texas, Mr. Robinson, this year. So they got plenty of talent on offense, and it'll be a full day for us that will hopefully get us in a position to again put plays on top of plays, quarters on top of quarters, and really have a feel for not only who the player is coming out of that game, but who we are as a secondary, as a defense.
A player that I failed to mention when we were talking about, give me Robert Livingston's perspective on guys. Mike Hilton, as good a slot corner as there is in professional football. The guy can blitz. He's an incredible blitzer. He's got unbelievable anticipation. He's very, very physical for his size. I mean, Mike Hilton's a unique dude, isn't he?
He is. Mike's story is one of just perseverance and always believing in himself. And it's kind of what we talked about with these young guys, getting an opportunity. Mike obviously took the long way to get into Pittsburgh, bouncing around, being out a little bit, got his chance. The key to success in life, right, is making the most of your opportunities. Did that in Pittsburgh, came here, has been a phenomenal leader. I think anytime you describe Mike, you just kind of say, he's just a football player, right? I think, and that is, if you're going to give somebody a compliment, I think that's the ultimate compliment, right? He's undersized. He's everything that, the boxes aren't checked. But at the end of the day, you're going to get his all. He's going to be where he's supposed to be, and he's going to make a big tackle for you to get off the field. So love that guy. Love what he brings to the team, and really, really happy we have him.
So I'm assuming that it won't be a whole lot different in terms of playing time. You're still in an evaluation mode. You know what you've got in terms of what the starters have done for you and what they can do for you. You're still evaluating other players more so than the starters at this particular time. What do you hope carries over from a positive standpoint from the Green Bay game, and what needs to be improved the most in your estimation?
Yeah, I think the splash plays are great. Those are the ones that make TV. They make the highlights. Everybody talks about those. So let's keep the splash plays. Again, if we can have 2 interceptions in a game, and I think 3 more PBUs, that's a hell of a game. So let's continue that, but let's just be more consistent. Let's not have the boneheaded fits, the boneheaded checks. Let's put a full game together, right? The difference in week 1 and week 2 is usually guys realize that, oh wait, I'm running down on kickoff and then I'm staying out there on defense, or I'm on the punt team and then I'm staying out there on defense. These guys haven't done that in a long time. So get the legs under them, get their mind right, and just know, late in that game, there ain't nobody to tap in. So it's you. So this is a phenomenal opportunity. Tell these guys all the time, if I would have walked up to you as a 9-year-old and said, hey, dude, you got a chance to play NFL football, you probably would have signed up for it. So when you're tired, when you got no legs, when you're just gasping for air, remember that. Remember what got you here, all those hard days, that this was your dream, and now you get a chance to live it. So make the most of it and have no regrets, and shoot your shot when you get a chance.
Like you had mentioned about Arthur Smith, the offensive genius down there with Atlanta, he does a lot of movement, a lot of motion, a lot of personnel, a lot of formational things. And it won't be like he does in regular season for a preseason game, but there will be some, and that'll test those young guys, right, in terms of communication, make sure everybody's on the same page. You don't want to brain cramp and you're out of alignment before the snap of the football, and they don't really have to beat you physically. They got you, making a mistake.
Yeah, I think you want to see guys stay ahead of their call. If we're in something that if one guy moves, the whole secondary can change, then know that, right? Communicate that pre-snap, stay ahead. Don't put yourself behind the play as you're talking about, where you're trying to get a check out and you're not where you're supposed to be, and you're trying to communicate with the corner or the nickel, and next thing you know, you're behind the play. So there are 6 or 7 plays that everybody in the league runs in the preseason. The bootlegs, moving the pockets, all that kind of stuff, outside zone. But early in the game, especially, let's when they probably got a first 15 of plays that they don't care that they showed the NFL because they ran them all last year. Let's be on top of those things, and let's really, when we get on the plane to come back, let's feel great about effort and all that stuff. We shouldn't have to have that conversation, but let's really feel good about we were dialed in, we came to play, and we made the most of our opportunity.
I remember, it's a long time ago, but I remember 1974.
Okay.
The first time went on the road. And you travel. We travel in college, college away games, but everybody travels differently. And I mean, Paul Brown, of course, was the head coach, and his meetings were so incredible, even on the road. And guys just getting familiar with, okay, how does the team travel? What's it like at the hotel? What are the meetings like? All of that first experience is something for the young guys to digest as well, right?
Yeah, I think whether you're a rookie or you're Nick Scott who's coming over,
Yep.
hey Nick, this is our individual we do before the game. Then we go to Pat and go, this is how we travel. This is what we eat. This is what the meeting structure is. All that stuff. Again, the preseason is so important for evaluation and all that stuff, but it's also a way to kind of set your feet and know that week 1 in Cleveland, hey, I take bus 3. This is where I sit. This is, what my locker looks like. This is what I like to do. So you don't have to worry about, anything of hey, I brought the wrong gloves or whatever it may be.
Right.
Let's get all the kinks out. So when it's time to go, it's just all about football. So anytime you go on the road, obviously, Mr. Brown, Katie, Troy, Brick, I mean, it's a first class operation, and you want for nothing. So just to feel that, to know, okay, this is the bus ride. These are what guys like to do. The trainers offer this. The strength staff does a great job here, giving them opportunities before the game to get loose. And everybody's got their own routine. I think, I'm sure you had that in 1974. You had your whatever music you were listening to then with your boom box, probably walking around pregame, no shirt on, laps, got no shoes. He's just
Yeah.
afraid of this big white dude getting ready to pull and lay out a linebacker. So it'll be good to kind of see that and to live that. And I mean, going on the road is, it can be a challenge for sure. You don't have your office, you don't have your meeting supplies, but it's a lot of fun to kind of hunker down and be with those guys, especially these late games as you've lived. I mean, we'll have a walkthrough in the morning, and next thing you know, you got like 4 or 5 hours. It's just like,
Yep.
okay, what do we do now?
Yep.
So if you're a young guy, you get off your feet, you look at your playbook, you make sure you're good. So it's just that, that we fortunately will play a lot of primetime games. So we'll have those 4 and 5 hours kind of hang around the hotel where it feels like it's 4 or 5 days. And then you get on the bus and you go. So it'll be good.
It will. It'll be good, and good luck on this journey, on this trip down to Atlanta. And 2 things, play well. Obviously, I'd like to see everybody play well, play hard, avoid injury.
Yep.
That's the big thing, man. Come back out of it healthy, yeah, for sure. But a good performance against the Atlanta Falcons, and getting closer all the time to heading up to Cleveland to get it started, get it kicked off. That's no easy task, as they say.
Yeah, it's always training camp lasts forever, and then you kind of wake up one morning and it's like, oh, we play a game in how long? So, we're probably in the middle of that tunnel right now where you
Yep.
can't see the light behind you, and there's not enough light to know where you're going. But you get back from Atlanta and you realize, okay, now it's getting real. We got one preseason game left. Let's make sure we feel great about everything. We feel great about who we are as a unit, as a defense, as a team, who the leaders are, and then it's time to go. So these next couple of days obviously are crucial. We'll get back to work tomorrow, and as you mentioned, have a light day, and then get down to Atlanta and really, let's let everybody kind of feel us. This is who we are this year. Obviously, new team, new faces, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, if you put that helmet on, if you're a first stringer, if you're a third stringer, it doesn't matter, right? There's a standard. The way we play, how we play, you should be able to feel us defensively. So that's what we're looking for. And it's a phenomenal opportunity. There's only so many of those in life. You're only guaranteed 20 of these this year, 3 preseason games and 17 regular ones. And, 10 years from now, I'm sure everybody, hell, you would probably sign up to go play a couple plays. I know I would. So let's make the most of our opportunity and come back and enjoy a victory.
I'll give you one. I'm not sure.
I think you could give us 2.
I'll give you one.
You can definitely give us a field goal play, right? So
I could do that. I could block
and a P and 10. A quick game. Yeah, I could see you setting a little bit. Just inside. It'd be good.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the relationship that you've got with your players and your fellow coaches. Man, everybody likes and respects and admires Robert Livingston, and there's a reason why. Thanks for your time, sir.
Well, yes, sir. Thanks for all you do, and we'll talk soon.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team. Opportunity knocking.